It's looking like it's going to be Gardner. Jalen did everything he possibly could to get his body ready to go, and it just at the end of the day, he's not gonna be able to do it. And he tried like crazy, and I know he still wants to go. That's just the toughness that Jalen Hurts is the toughest player I've ever been around. Gardner will be our guy, and Gardner will be ready. Gardner worked his butt off for this opportunity against a really good football team, and had a great practice yesterday. I think you guys have all heard that, how good a practice he had yesterday. A lot of energy out there, and he's ready to go.
The Philadelphia Eagles taking full advantage of the fact that they don't have to rule the guy out until 2 days before the game. Playing the games that most teams do. We think he'll play. We don't know. We're preparing for him to play. The Jets did that with Mike White going into last week, and it's what you do. If you can get the other team to spend any amount of time preparing for the guy other than the one they'll see, it's a win, and that's what the Eagles did. And I think we sensed all along. Once the odds swung, the spread swung, the MVP odds went from Jalen Hurts to Patrick Mahomes, that's when I think we all knew it was going to be Gardner Minshew. And Charean, the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that knows very well. We talked about the 2017 AFC Championship game, 2017 NFC Championship and divisional round and Super Bowl victory, all because the Eagles had a backup quarterback who could come in and get it done. They view backup quarterback as a top 11 position on the entire roster, and they got Gardner Minshew from the Jaguars last year for a song. But the Jaguars wish they still had this guy on his rookie contract. Very cheap and very effective. And he played well last year when he got an opportunity. I don't see why he won't play well this year, Charean.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. He did have a loss to the Cowboys last year in Week 18, but both teams had nothing to play for, and it wasn't really the starters in there. 51-26 was the final, but he played pretty well, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. And frankly, I don't think, when you look at his 22 starts, Mike, 8-14, but the Jaguars were so bad in some of those years. I just don't think you can hold that against him with the way that he played in some of those games, because they didn't have the talent around him. And the Eagles certainly do have the talent around him, and they're better a team than when they played the Cowboys last year, and they've still got to win one of their last 3. So they're going to go all out. It's not going to be a thing where they're going to rest their starters for this game. Now, if they win this game, they certainly might over the next 2 games, but they're not going to do that against the Cowboys this week, and they've still, to me, got a great chance to win this game with or without Jalen Hurts, and we know they're going to be without him. So I think Gardner Minshew can get it done this week, and they can clinch that number 1 overall seed, and then they will have a chance to rest their starters the rest of the way.
The line has moved a little bit toward the Eagles over the past day or so now that we know it is Minshew. Cowboys now -4. I think it was 4.5 or 5 yesterday. Sims picked the Eagles to win this one straight up, and that's a gutsy move because, look, the Cowboys have been waiting for this one. The Cowboys have played in lackluster fashion the past 2 weeks, I believe, because they've been ultra conscious of what's to come against the Eagles. You got Micah Parsons talking, and I know how that all happened, but that became a thing where the Eagles kept saying, we're focused on the Bears. Michael Parsons ended up, because of the thing he said on Von Miller's podcast, he had to talk about the Eagles in the week that they should have been focused on the Jaguars, and they lost. So this is one that they've been waiting for, Charean. Dallas Goedert expected to be back on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have lost 4 straight in Dallas, each of the last 3 by 20 or more points, but a win does deliver the number 1 seed for the Eagles. And without Jalen Hurts and with the Cowboys losing last week, it does create less of a sense of sizzle because it's still going to be an uphill climb for the Cowboys to topple the Eagles. But they need this game to cement their standing as the 5 seed at a minimum and to keep hope alive of maybe finding a way to draw an inside straight and win the division. Let's hear from Dak Prescott on whether or not this game against the Eagles, who are 13-1, is about the Cowboys making a statement.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And if anything, it's about making a statement to ourselves. Just about, as you look in the season, we've had some games where we played really well, and then we had some games where we've bet ourselves in the foot and had some games where we didn't and we lost. So, this is about putting our best foot forward, putting our best effort out there, and proving it to ourselves in all three phases that we're a hell of a team and we can go get it done against one of the best teams in the league, whether they're in our division or not.
Bit ourselves in the foot sounds like it's something Sims should say, frankly. Doesn't it?
Yeah. Or what was it, Rex Ryan, maybe?
Yeah, well, Merry Christmas. Hang your stockings. Anyway, I don't know what to say about that. Do you believe that the Cowboys need to make a statement to themselves? I would say they do, based on how they've played their last two games, for as dominant as they were. And it just shows you how seasons shift and change. You don't want to be dominant too early. You want to be dominant in January, not in November.
Yeah, and they're not playing very well right now, Mike. That's the bottom line in all this. They should have lost to the Texans 2 weeks ago. They did lose to the Jaguars. And again, when we're looking at that schedule, you're thinking, oh, those are two easy wins for the Cowboys. And they should have been. And they struggled against the Texans start to finish, and then they lost a 17-point lead to the Jaguars in Jacksonville last week. So this is a team that's not playing very well. So the main thing is they need to go out there and play well and show again what they showed against the Vikings in the fourth quarter against the Colts. After those games, Mike, we were talking about this team as being a contender, as being one of the best teams in football, and I don't look at them now and think that at all after the last 2 weeks. I just don't. I just think this is another team that could possibly go to Tampa and lose in the first round. It's Tom Brady. I know what the Bucs are. They've lost twice to Tampa over the last 2 years. They lost the season opener to Tampa at home this year. They lost to Tampa on the road in the season opener last year. This team should want no part of the Buccaneers. They should root hard for the Falcons or the Panthers or whoever to win that division and it not be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because this team absolutely could go to Tampa and lose in the first round. And then you're in the same spot you were last year and potentially without Mike McCarthy as your head coach moving forward. Now, having said all that, I do think they go into Tampa and win. But do they look like, Mike, a team that can go on the road even 2 weeks in a row and win? Do you have confidence they could go into San Francisco and pull that out? I don't. I don't even think they could go back to Minnesota and do what they did. Certainly not do what they did, but I don't even think they could win if they went back to Minnesota in the postseason. They just don't look like, to me, a team that could go on the road and win three road games in a row to get to the Super Bowl. They don't look like that. And maybe after that Minnesota and Colts game, I would have said, yeah, I absolutely think they can do that. I could think they can do what the Bengals did last year, but I don't look at them that way, Mike, after what we've seen over the last 2 weeks. My opinion of them has changed.
Potentially would have to go to Philadelphia, depending upon what happens with the 6th seed and the 7th seed. Yeah. It's either San Francisco, Minnesota, or Philadelphia at this point where they'd have to go if they do beat the Buccaneers. But I would agree with you. They'd be in danger against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers beat them 19-3 to start the season, same scores we had last night. And so I would be concerned. And, you know, Charean, when the Cowboys ascended this year, the popular narrative of which I participated was Mike McCarthy's safe. No more Sean Payton. Don't have to worry about Sean Payton talk anymore. He's good to go. He's fine. It's all good. And as you said, and again, the spirit of the holiday, let's not get a guy fired, but this is the reality, and this is what they sign up for, and this is one of the reasons why they make so much money, because those jobs do dangle by a thread depending upon whether or not you've lived up to expectations. If they go one and done this year, yeah, I think the Sean Payton talk starts again. Now, I've started to wonder this year, Charean, whether or not the Jerry Jones bluster about you'd be surprised at the size of the check I'd write to win a Super Bowl. And, you know, I think some of that may be bullcrap. I think some of that may be just aimed at keeping the stadium full. I don't know that he's as obsessed with winning another championship as he pretends to be, because that's what you need to do to keep your fan base fully engaged. He's got his 3 trophies. And then I know the narrative's been for so long that we don't even question it, that all he wants to do is win a Super Bowl that he can say, I built the team. But we've talked about this before. He doesn't like to fire coaches when he still owes them money on their contracts. Well, Isn't that part of the check you would write to win a Super Bowl? This is his chance to prove it. If he truly believes it, if they fail to win in the wild card round, and Sean Payton, the guy he was going to hire early 2019, it's outlined in the book that is lurking over Charean's right shoulder. It was going to happen. At the last minute, it didn't happen. This is his chance, probably his last chance to get Sean Payton. If he's willing to write that giant check, part of it is to pay Mike McCarthy to leave. Part of it is to get Sean Payton through the door, and it would be a big check, and it would involve draft picks to the Saints. Let's see if he really means it if this current track continues. But that's the thing about the current tracks in the NFL. They're roller coaster tracks, because the next thing you know, they could beat the crap out of the Eagles again, and they could win out, and we could be feeling very differently about the Cowboys by the time the playoffs roll around. That just shows you how quickly it can change in the NFL.
Well, no question about that, Mike. And you talk about him wanting to write that check and build the team so that people say, oh, Jerry Jones built this team. It wasn't Jimmy Johnson, which I think is still how people look at that. But he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I don't know that he any longer needs that validation. He has the validation. You don't go in the Hall of Fame twice. He's got the gold jacket. He's not giving up that gold jacket, and he's not giving up that gold jacket even for another Super Bowl. He has that. He's been validated. There's nothing else to obtain for him personally other than more Lombardi trophies. So I'm with you there that I don't know that he has to build a team to win a Super Bowl. I think he wants to build a team to win a Super Bowl. There's no question about that. But is he fully committed to spending the money that it would take and doing all the things? I don't know. I really don't know. And I think if they do go one and done in the postseason, he's going to be put to that test on whether he's willing to spend the money, whether he's willing to step back. That's an even bigger thing than willing to spend the money it's going to take to buy out Mike McCarthy and to get Sean Payton would be Payton's insistence on him backing up in personnel and letting Sean Payton handle some of the personnel calls or all of the personnel calls. That's something I don't know that Jerry's going to be willing to give up.
But I think the fact that he was ready to do it nearly 4 years ago implies very strongly he's already been to that brink. He's already accepted that's what it takes. I have to be prepared to let Sean Payton make some of these decisions. I have to have a seat at the table, a real meaningful seat at the table for Sean Payton. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just, it dawned on me at some point within the past 2 or 3 years that whenever you hear owners say, we just want to win the Super Bowl, we're trying to win the Super Bowl, hopefully it was more than 3 years that I figured this one out, that it's just talk aimed at keeping the fan base fully engaged. We're trying to keep the audience fully engaged, and we'll do so by moving the program along. More PFT Live to get you ready for Week 16, which gets going Saturday this week with most of the games. We'll keep talking about them when PFT Live continues right after this. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.